I mean, with that intro, come on. That intro alone hypes me up, right?
That is so hype. That's such a hype.
What's up, fandoms?
What's up, guys? This is Walt, and this is episode 0 of the Blue versus Green show. This is our very first episode, obviously, because we're here to introduce you guys to us. And so we're 3 guys loving 2 football teams in one city, being New York, right? And kind of the genesis of this show was, us on Telegram and Instagram DMs just constantly fighting over the Giants and the Jets. And we were just like, you know what? Screw this.
It constantly proving how much better the Jets are than.
Yeah, thank you.
How much better the Giants are than the Jets?
That was what do you call that?
That is not. That's a Freudian slip.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna call that. That's my one and only blunder ever. That's what I get for interrupting.
There's been many blunders.
By the Jets,
Giants fan.
One.
You know what I'm saying?
One.
So anyway, my name is Walt. Guys, why don't you guys just go ahead and introduce yourselves? Gabe, you can go last because you're a Giants fan. Anyway.
I was gonna say, is it a yellow card or something? Is that a penalty flag?
This is football, not
out the wrong team. Yeah, no, I just thought yellow.
Yellow card.
I just thought the yellow.
Oh, man.
The yellow penalty flag.
There you go.
Yeah,
caught it. You caught it.
Mm-hmm. I got the penalty flag too, apparently, because I was thinking of yellow cards in soccer. Go ahead.
You know what, Gabe? Go ahead. We'll give you a break.
Well, I'm Gabe. I am the one and only person on the show representing winners, aka the Giants. And it's cool to be here. It's awesome to kind of actually be on video with these guys. It's awesome to have something that kind of was just born out of what was already happening. 3 guys shooting shit, over one team, and then the other team, the one team being the Giants, the other guy is being the Jets, all in one city. So, I mean, I can't wait to start talking, man, start yapping. Jose?
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm Jose. As y'all know, representing the Jets fandom. And I mean, I got to say that the reason that I'm a Jets fan more than anything else is Walter, the host of the show. He's my older brother, and this is one situation where his fandom influenced mine growing up. A lot of my fandoms earlier on switched. I was like a Mets fan when I was a little kid, when I didn't understand baseball, and I was a Giants fan when I didn't understand football.
We forgive you.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't understand the sport at all. I was like 5 years old. So when I understood the sport, I realized which franchise was tougher and better and had a storied history with their one Super Bowl and their Hall of Fame quarterback, Joe Namath. So that's how I decided to pick the better team and not the other team in New York. I become a Jets fan.
Storied history.
Storied history, yeah.
Storied history. Oh, okay. Go on.
It is a storied history. It's not the best storied history, right?
Yeah, I didn't say it was a good story. I said it was.
Yeah, I mean, I started watching the Jets from back in the 80s. I mean, to be quite honest, Gabe, I've been a fan of the Jets longer than you've probably been on planet Earth.
I don't know about that. I think you've forgotten how old I am.
I don't know. Well, I started watching them around, I want to say 84, 85. Is that ring any 83. Bells for you?
Born in 83.
Okay, so
but you're there. I mean, it's there. It's there.
Really close.
It's definitely there.
I mean, my Jets coaches ran from Joe Walton to Rich Kotite to freaking Al Groh and in recent years Adam Gase. So I mean, we've had
shivers.
Listen, it's been about 40 years since I've been watching the Jets, and we've gone to the playoffs 10 times. That tells you pretty much everything that you need to know about being a Jets fan. You know what I'm saying? But listen, die hard, and my man Joe Klecko, finally making the Hall of Fame. Well deserved, you know what I'm saying? So
Fuck yeah.
you know, I'm really happy about that. So Gabe, we've left you for last. There's a reason for that, but go ahead.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I already introduced myself, but but as far as like my Giants fandom,
Yeah, man, Giants. Like, how did you
so
become a Giants fan?
so interestingly enough, I started out as a Dallas Cowboys fan.
I never understood
Mainly,
that.
mainly
Never
because
understood
I
that.
didn't, again, a lot like Jose, didn't know what I was really watching, and all I remember is watching Emmitt Smith. My mom used to watch sports, not understanding sports. You know,
Okay.
she was a huge Michael Jordan fan because she saw him all over the place and on the news. An Emmitt Smith fan just because she happened to see something. So I saw everything that she saw, and that's how I became a fan of Emmitt Smith. Until I saw LT do some work in the wrestling ring, actually. So when I saw LT do a match with Bam Bam Bigelow in WWF, kind of like
Like,
the
who's
whole
that?
thing,
Right?
yeah, like who's that, and just like what's this guy about and stuff, and then because of that, you're seeing a lot of like New York Giants highlights and everything. And then I was like, you know what, like let me start following a little bit more football. But I still wasn't a football fan. I was more a baseball and basketball fan until all the fanfare with Eli Manning coming on board, and everyone just hating on him from day one. And I'm a huge underdog guy, so I was like, you know what? I started like rooting for the guy, and I started kind of putting out like blind bets out there with friends. Like, watch, he's gonna win a Super Bowl, this, that, and the other. He's gonna be the best quarterback you ever met. And because of saying that, now I had to back up my shit talk by actually watching the games and learning football and being a real fan. And I would say that, like, even though LT kind of had me watching some Giants games, Eli made me a Giants fan. So, and that's where we are.
It's funny that you mentioned LT, because even though I am a diehard Jets fan, LT was one of my favorite players growing up, and I had to give him all the props and all the respect, because that man was an absolute beast on the field.
That he was scary.
So I mean, I still remember the whole, I hit him so hard the snot fell out of his nose. Your remark, you know what I'm saying? So that
was a
LT.
scary dude, man.
Yeah, man, he was a bad man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So so that's kind of where we are. We just wanted to do this because we talk about the Jets and the Giants all the time. So we said, fuck it. You know what? Let's do a show. What could happen, right? What's the worst that could happen, right?
When people like it.
When people like it, yeah, exactly. So anyway, let's talk about the Jets and the Giants, because this year, right, was both teams were coming off last place finishes, right? And I don't know what the level of expectation you guys had. I know as me as a Jets fan, and especially after that draft, I was like super, super excited, Gabe, what about you? I mean, like, what was your expectation of the Giants coming in?
Well, I had already seen a lot of I had a lot of hopes already with Dable coming in. And it's Dable, right? Not Dayball. Dable.
Yes.
I believe. I know that he kind of made a point to correct people. Was it he or someone else? Anyway, regardless, I knew that Dable was coming in.
Sorry if we got a
Dayball. And already seeing like all the success that the Bills had, it only made sense to me that, like, we're gonna kind of follow suit, follow that same track, bring a lot of the stuff that the Bills were able to implement up there, hopefully through Dable and Shane, and my expectations were to at least resemble the Bills, and I really felt like that we did, in play calling, in the coaching, in just the overall vibe of the team, all that stuff. So my expectations, while I think they weren't just met, they were definitely exceeded. I think that was the case for everyone that's a Giants fan. And then for the Jets, like I I will say that they over exceeded my own expectations. I thought that they were gonna fully crash and burn, which they still kind of did towards the end there. But they did
true.
much better than anyone would have expected. And the crazy thing is that I do root for the Jets, okay, so long as the Giants aren't playing at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So,
well,
same.
you and I did go to that Jets Giants preseason. How did that work out for the Giants?
it doesn't matter how it worked out. How did the season work out for the Jets?
I kind of remember.
No.
We put a bet on this, didn't we?
My man.
Still waiting for that Jets jersey.
Oh, you're gonna get that Zach Wilson jersey.
Hey,
it was originally gonna be a Sam Darnold jersey, but guess what? Sam Darnold's actually doing a little bit better than Zach Wilson right now.
Well, listen, send the Wilson over. I'll just change the 2 to 87. I mean to 17, and we're good. You know,
I ain't changing the name off of that.
Right.
But anyway, yeah,
Garrett,
I'm
good.
That's true, actually. You're right. Damn it.
No,
I'm gonna make sure that it has Zach's face on it. I'm gonna get a patch, a custom made patch for Zach's face. Lord. Anyway,
see, people, this is what I have to deal with every day. So just so you see it, right?
No one told you to be a Jets fan.
Well, we know Zach Wilson sucks. You don't have to tease us about it. We tease ourselves about it all the time.
Yeah.
I was actually a Zach truther for the first part of the year. So I'm still
man. So I mean,
we had some heated
I guess we're kind of
in the season, but yeah,
we are going into to season recap. No, so who's gonna go first? Again, don't we gotta?
Oh yeah, let's throw that
flip a coin.
So the way we work our segments here is we do coin flips, right? And so we're gonna do it now to decide who gets to go first, whether it's Giants or Jets. So this being
who gets the ball?
The inaugural, right? The opening kickoff, right?
Yeah, the opening kickoff.
You so you know what? Since you're the visiting team,
season,
no. Hold on, we decided this already.
Gabe,
no, hold on.
The visiting team, we're going to let you decide.
Wow,
is either heads or tails, right? And then we're gonna let the magic of digitosity figure this out. So Gabe, as the visiting team, where me and Jose are clearly the home field, right?
Okay.
Heads or tails, brother?
Well, being that the Giants were first and always will be, heads.
All right, here we go.
Wow.
Come on, tails, let's go!
Wait, where's the coin? Ha!
Son of a gun. All right, you got it this time.
Yeah.
So,
but you know what? You know what I get to do?
I'm gonna take off my headphones for a bit.
No. Don't leave them on because I choose to defer.
Oh, you son of a gun!
I choose to defer.
You're gonna kick.
I'm gonna kick it off to you guys. You guys can go ahead. Who wants to go ahead and get started with the Jets' abysmal season? I mean, season recap.
Listen. I'm gonna put it to you this way, okay? So again, the Jets were coming off a 4-win season, right? Previous, they were dead last. Their defense was horrible, right? I think they were either close to last in the league or very, very close to it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Salah was looking having some issues.
They were thinking about
that first season, right?
Yeah, and they were thinking about firing Jeff Albright, right? Which was the DC at the time, still is, right?
Yeah.
So the expectation that everybody had was if the Jets could get to somehow 7 wins, right? And be playing meaningful games in December, right? That's what it was in preseason. Yeah. That's what everybody was looking for. Guess what? And I know us as Jet fans, we kind of tend to want to, pun intended, move the goalposts, right? But if you look at what the objectives were for this team at the start of the preseason, they won 7 games, check. They were playing meaningful games in December, check. So I mean, if you look at it that way, then they are moving in the right direction. The
Yeah,
problem
see,
is that this Jet team started
yeah,
out 5-2.
Well, here's the
You
thing.
know,
It's not. It's less about what the problem is. I think that, like, yes, I think that the benchmark for a successful or an acceptable season for the Jets was a 7-win season with meaningful games in December. Um, it's just how you guys got your 7 wins.
exactly,
Even
exactly.
if it's 5-2, we're talking about, like, again, a quarterback in Wilson that really didn't do much. A lot of these games being won, in single digit numbers, just like not. It's you got the wins, but in what context? And
Right,
I think that's what's most important, and that's what's more
exactly.
telling than the benchmark that you guys were kind of
Right, and that's why
looking.
I
yeah,
said at the
yeah,
beginning we're moving the goalposts, right? Because our initial thing was let's get to 7 wins and let's play some games in December that actually means something. Instead of in December, we're already looking at the draft and seeing who's available. So we accomplished that, but it's exactly what you said. The way we started, I mean, we were 7-4 going into that second Patriot game with the chance of actually being in first place. I mean, that's how crazy this season was, right? We were 7-4 at some
yeah.
point.
Yeah, I mean, it was an insane start, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, the thing to me was that the team kind of became a victim of its own success, its own early season success, and the defensive success that nobody saw coming, right?
Right.
Because they certainly were. There certainly was a lot of the writing on the wall, so to speak, that there was going to be a good amount of improvement, but it seemed like it was going to be across the board, right? We expected Zach Wilson to take at least a couple of steps forward this season. We expected the offense to do better, and we certainly expected the defense to do better. All that based on a few factors, including how well the Jets drafted, right?
Right.
As you said earlier, that built up a lot of our excitement in the offseason. But then that early start, that quick start, showed us what was great about the Jets. But you can't sustain a whole season worth of victories, even with one of the best defenses in the league, right? And I think we can say the Jets are probably one of the top 5 defenses, or one of the top 5 defenses, I think, in the league last season.
Statistically wise,
Yeah,
they were number 4. You know.
yeah, right. So
Now,
that confirms that. But if you can't score, right, then that means that you're just not going to win games, no matter how well the defense is playing, and they're not going to be able to get that many turnovers and touchdowns or anything like that. So they were a victim of their own early success, I think.
I think. Yes, Gabe. Go ahead.
I want to say that, like, we can't really talk about a season recap without some of the drama either, because the drama that happened was also, part of the season, and with Elijah Moore and all this other stuff kind of happened in the locker room, the stuff with Zach Wilson and Mike White and just the benching drama of Zach Wilson. I mean, you gotta kind of harp on that a little bit too.
And we actually
Yeah.
have a clip about that, but before I preface that, I just want to say to me, and this is just my personal opinion, there were 2 really critical points of the season where you saw that there were going to be issues, and I think the first one was the Bronco game where they were 5-2 going in there, and Brees Hall was en route to becoming a monster in this league.
Yeah, that's
And
true. Yeah.
we lost in that game 2 guys that were on pace to make the Pro Bowl. That was Elijah Vera Tucker and Brees Hall. And I think that, to me, critically, was probably the biggest reason for the Jets collapse, because I don't think really after that they never really recovered. I mean, their record after that, if they were 5-2, they went 2-8 the rest of the way. You know what I'm saying?
Because
So that was a
if you
big
can't
thing.
if you can't score touchdowns in the air, if you can at least run the damn ball, then your defense can make something happen, as they did early on. That's a great point.
Right.
And Brees Hall probably was on his way to being the offensive rookie of the year.
Absolutely.
We were
Absolutely.
able to grab that.
Listen,
But
Brees Hall
his
missed
loss
all
was
those
huge.
games. Brees Hall missed all those games. He's still the rushing leader for 2022 for the Jets. I think he ran for like 463 yards at that point in the season. So, and nobody passed him. So,
but I think blessing in disguise, because without that injury, you don't have the actual answer that you needed this season, which is Zach Wilson your future? And I think that he's not, because like you just said, if you can't throw the ball, you have to be able to run it, and without having Breece Hall there and not being able to throw the ball at all, even if throwing the ball is your backup plan, it goes to show that he just really isn't the answer.
And so that leads up to the second point, and I'm actually going to play a clip now, because that second critical point of the season to me was that second Patriot game. And I'm going to play this clip so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's roll that tape.
Aside from the first time you played New England, aside from the turnovers, you were able to move the ball up and down the field, offensively. Why today did they dramatically change what they did from the first game to the second?
No, it was the same. I mean, I think you got to put into account it's windy as hell out there too, guys. There's times where you can't just completely try and take these shots down the field. I mean, you can see how much it's moving out there. So, we were trying to establish the run game. Same with what the Patriots were trying to do as well. They're not out there chucking 30, 40-yard throws down the field either.
It looked like CBS cameras caught Garrett and Denzel a little upset after a couple of the missed passes. Did they say anything to you, or have you talked to him on the sideline after that, or just a heat of the moment?
No, I mean, we're all close. We're all talking and communicating. I mean, there's stuff that, I want them to do different. I get frustrated as well. And then there's stuff that, I miss a throw high there, and they're frustrated as well. So, I mean, it goes both ways. This isn't anyone pointing fingers here. This is everybody, taking accountability here, and everyone's trying to get better.
As an offense, though, I mean, when you guys are only able to score 3 points, the defense only lets up 3 points. I mean, do you feel like you let the defense down at all?
No.
Thank you. Room's open.
Oof. I mean, dude, that to me was probably the point where he completely lost the team.
Well, I mean, it was the point. He got benched right after. So didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, right after that, they got benched. No.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, it was right after that. Yeah, I mean, it's notable when you hear the quote again and again and again and again. You pick apart certain things that he said, and the line right before that is literally him talking about taking accountability.
Yes, I was looking at accountability. Did you look up the definition of that word?
Listen, that whole clip was just rife full of him deflecting, because what was the first thing that he said? Guys, it's windy as hell out there. I'm sorry, but Mac Jones was playing the same game, and he was completing passes. I mean, I think they threw for 40 yards or something like that in that game.
It's funny because he had said that they're not throwing the ball either. But I don't
know what game he was looking at.
That's the issue. He doesn't see anything. He doesn't pay attention to what's happening in front of him.
I don't think that's
playing the game. He doesn't see it.
I don't think that's the case. I think he does kind of see what's going on. I think the game is too fast for him. Clearly, I don't think it's gotten any slower. This is what we always see with these Jets quarterbacks, right? I think he sees what's going on. I think he saw what was going on even in that interview. I think I'm going to give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to be honest with you, but I do want to talk about his scouting report from college, because I think that's going to be relevant here. I think a lot of this particular interview was nerves. He knew he was losing the team. He knew he was losing New York. He knew he was losing the fans and the media. I think a lot of that was in these responses. I'm not letting him off the hook. We definitely didn't let him off the hook when we heard that. We were incensed. But I think he kind of sees a little bit what's going on, and I think that ties into his scouting report. So let me see if I can grab that here for a second. I had the line, and I want to thank you, Gabe, for pointing this out. Let me see here. Where is this scouting report here? Sorry, gentlemen, I thought I had this pulled up. But let me keep going. But yeah, essentially, a lot of the scouting report was an issue with him not having the maturity, not getting the ball out quickly enough. Pick it up, and I'll have that ready in just a moment. But I mean, that's kind of what I think was going on in that interview, in my opinion.
I mean, I think that the scouting report was dead on, and guys just kind of ignored. It's like you see this really, really beautiful car, but it comes with the Carfax, and it's there's issue 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but it's a beautiful, beautiful red car, and you're like, you know what, I just want to drive this car. I'm gonna buy the car right off the lot. Yeah. And that's what Zach Wilson is. You guys have it in the scouting report, all the issues in the scouting report. And
can I read it here? I have it. I have it in front of me here. Let me take a moment if I can to read it. Okay, so this is his NFL draft scouting report. Zach Wilson is a gunslinger QB who exploded during his third year as a starter at BYU. He has the arm talent to consistently make throws at all three levels from controlled settings and while off platform. He's a good athlete who shows the ability to create and ad-lib plays when initial reads are covered, which is coveted from the QB position in today's NFL. Wilson has the utmost confidence in his arm and is not scared to throw into tight windows, even downfield. He will still need to improve on his timing, ball security, and when to learn to tone down the aggression and be a quarterback instead of a thrower. His slight overall build is also something to note, as he won't be able to pull out a defender's grasp as easily in the NFL. Overall, Wilson is a legit franchise QB prospect who is add excitement and explosive plays to whatever offense he joins. There's some negatives here I want to mention very quickly also that are noted. Needs to be more consistent with his drop back timing. Has times he takes a couple of unnecessary bounces and hitches and needs to throw with anticipation. He ends up trying to overcompensate on this and will overstride and sail throws. This kind of contradicts what was said earlier, but confidence might lead him to try throws. Oh no, this is exactly what they said earlier. Might lead him to try throws that he shouldn't in the NFL. And the last point I want to make here is ball security can be poor in the pocket, especially when looking to ad-lib on throws. Will carry the ball below his waist.
Well, the good thing about Zach is that he didn't have ball security issues. So, he did have a couple of fumbles here and there, but for the most part, he was pretty good in terms of, handling the ball. The problem with him, and, it's kind of like what Gabe said. He was the shiny red car in the combine, and there is one throw that you can look at that everybody fell in love with, and that's the one where he rolled out to his left, threw across the shoulder, and dropped it into the breadbasket of the receiver at the combine, and everybody was wowed, and they should be, because that is a throw that there are very few quarterbacks in the league that can pull off, right? And he's done it on occasion during games. The problem is, and this is something that that Robert Saleh has said plenty of time in his press conference rooms, in his press conferences. You gotta let the regular stuff be the regular stuff, and make those easy throws. Those are the things that are going to propel you to success in this league, right? Once you nail that part down, then you can go off script and work on that. But you really, the main thing has to be the main thing. And that's the thing that Zach hasn't understood up until this point. He was too much into hero ball. He was too much into, let's try and squeeze it. I'm the gunslinger and stuff like that. And it quite frankly, he didn't work on the other stuff that he needed to. Now, I will say this, from everything that I've heard, he is the first one in and he's the last one out. So it's not a matter of work ethic. It's just, I don't think he has the proper tools or the proper tutelage to succeed at this
That's
point.
important. That's important.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, Joe Flacco's not it.
No, and I believe, Jose, you wanted to speak on this a little bit also, right? Because the coaches very clearly have said that they have failed Zach Wilson this year, right?
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, I just want to mention one thing. I mean, I don't know if you want to go ahead and play this clip of that, but there's some star-crossed quality, unfortunately, to kind of what was going on this year, because if y'all recall, before the season started, the Jets had hired a completely different quarterback coach to develop Zach Wilson. And the coach, Greg Knapp, that they hired was killed in a bicycle accident.
yes,
So
that is very, very true.
that was something that I was remembering recently. So I don't know if you want to go ahead and play the clip with that.
Yeah, let's play that clip right now. And I think we've lost Gabe, so hopefully by the time that we play this clip, he'll be back. So let's go ahead and play that clip with Mike LaFleur talking about Zach Wilson.
With Zach, do you guys feel like you've failed him in developing him right now? Where do you feel like you're at?
Yeah, there's still development to be had. through 2 years, yeah, we haven't done our job with him, right? You know, there's a two-way street with it. You know, the player's got to meet you in the middle with it. But you want all these guys to play at their absolute best, and we all know that that Zach and he hasn't played at his absolute best. He's shown spurts, he's shown the talent, but he's gonna. And it's like Solid, I know, said yesterday, through hell or high water, we're gonna work with him. It kind of is what it is in 2023 now. I guess you could say, like, people, you know. People don't want to wait. They want the instant gratification of, you know, these rookies, these second-year guys to be superstars, and understandably so. I use the example of what's going on in Green Bay right now. Obviously, it was Brett Favre. Aaron sat for 5 years, and Jordan Love's kind of going through it right now. Just how much improvement he's had through 3 years, you know, of sitting there watching Aaron going through the scout team and all that, and that's that was his path. Similar to Zach, you know. In hindsight, it probably would have benefited, you know, just to sit back and learn a little bit and watch a veteran and do it and just kind of grow, you know, in this league, kind of in the back seat watching and getting better in practice and getting better in through scout team and all that. But again, that wasn't the course that we went. And, you know, from here, we got to pick it up. We got to pick up the scraps. And we're going to have to look back and see, you know, what not necessarily red flags, but what indicators were there that said it wasn't ready, you know. And you know, again, hindsight's 2020. It really doesn't matter, you know. We just got to learn from it, and we will.
Hey, we got Gabe back. Gabe was kind of like Aaron Rodgers. He wanted to miss the preseason, especially when it was talking about Jets. He was like, I've had enough.
I wanted to go into my dark room when it came to any more Jets talk.
Yeah,
there you go.
Their DMT or whatever the hell it is that he's on these days.
Yeah, what do you guys think of LaFleur and his comments? Do you really think that he like fell on the sword to like kind of just take it for the team or look for a new job, as so to speak? I guess. Or what do you guys think of that whole like
fell on the sword? Like I don't know if he was aware that the season was over at this point, because things were going fairly well in spite of Zach's failures, right? So I don't know if it was falling on the sword in that sense, but I think he was definitely trying to be a good coach. This is what a good coach does, right? You got to take responsibility, and indeed, it is his responsibility, you know, as the coach, as one of the primary coaches on offense, not the quarterback coach specifically, which I talked about, but as one of the primary coaches on offense.
Didn't this happen at the end of the season though?
Definitely failed.
Interview.
Yeah, this was toward the end.
This
is where people were actually starting to make those calls to get rid of LaFleur and stuff. Like, you know, New York sports radio was all over it at this point, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically admitting that, like, I messed up and I probably should have not had him start.
But listen, it gave Woody his pound of flesh. That was an easy
that's what I'm
target
saying.
for him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like who would put themselves on the line of fire unless they're, you know, they intend on looking to go elsewhere.
Yeah, so
I mean, but not having him start also is like, who the hell else do you start? You know what I mean? Like, they tried starting everybody, and the only one that gave them decent results was Mike White, right?
Yeah,
everybody else was trash. And like Streveler for like a quarter and a half, right?
Listen, the way I look at it is this way. You know, when you put some competent quarterback play that Mike White gave us, right? The offense looked good. So I don't fully put it on LaFleur, because I think he kind of realized as the season went on that Zach was kind of hamstringing his play calling. I mean, it literally got to the point, and I think this was reported a lot in New York sports media, where LaFleur literally was telling Zach, one read and then run. Yeah. I mean, you can't run an offense if that's the way you're telling your quarterback, and if your quarterback can't process past that first read, there's no way you're gonna get any capable quarterback play at that point, you know. And you know, the interesting thing is, and this is something that kind of made the internet and all this stuff, if the Jets even had half average quarterback play, and in this case, you know, the average scoring for the league was 21.9, right, for the year 2022, they would have won 10 games easily.
I mean,
Easily.
Who was it that they say that the Jets failed on drafting? Justin Fields, who's not even a world beater, not even
Right.
back. They would have won 9 games
Absolutely.
at least with them behind center. I mean, injuries notwithstanding, but
Right.
had that
But
not been the case,
even then, Jose, we were in all of those games. Like you can't say that we were blown out in any of them. That defense
no.
held them, right? So even if we had gotten a smidgen, like a whiff of quarterback competency, right, we would have won those games most likely.
Should we look at this
Maybe,
real quick?
maybe.
Yeah, like in hindsight, you don't know.
We gotta blow the whistle over here. Okay.
Can
I think it's about
okay.
I think it's about time we get to the Giants. A little bit of Giants talk. No.
Okay.
Sounds
You want to sneak one more in before we go to halftime?
Yeah.
I think we have 5 seconds. I think we have 5 seconds for the Giants.
For the Giants? No, for Jose. Go ahead, and then I got to take over.
Well, let me get to it so we get to the Giants. Let me sneak in this quick point. And the quote that you found about Zach Wilson, I found is much shorter. I want to read that very quickly as well to kind of cap this off. But I want to go over this by like 1-score games. How many 1-score games did the Jets lose this year? Because I feel like 1 score was all the difference, right? They won 7 games. So Baltimore, they would have lost. They lost 24-9. Cincinnati, we would have lost. Makes sense. 27-12. New England, I said 8 wins, right? New England again. That would have been a tie, at least. Let's say it's a tie, all right? Because they would have tied that game, all right? Let's give them 1 more touchdown. So that's 8 wins and a tie. Minnesota. I was at that game, actually. I was in Minnesota. I was at that game watching them play the Vikings, and we really gave them a great game. We lost 27-22. That's 9 wins. Buffalo. We lost by 8 to them, so we're not going to give them that one.
Yeah, but you know what, Jose? Let me just say one thing.
Let's be fair, and we got to get to the Giants. So let's just try to move through it. And
But you also
fair, right?
You also have to remember they were driving to take the lead late in the 4th quarter, and Michael Carter fumbled the ball, so they were in it.
Sure,
that game they were in it.
You know what though? Like I don't want to get too specific because it's so hypothetical when you're inserting an entirely different player. I'm not going to go to like talk about specific plays because the entire game, the makeup of the entire game would have changed if Justin Fields were behind center. That play might have never happened. So I don't want to give that one to that. I was at 9 wins, right?
Yep.
Detroit.
I was at that game.
Detroit 20-17, 3 lost by 3, 10 wins. Jacksonville, we lost 19-3. Not happening. Seattle 23-6, not happening. Miami 11-6, 12 wins. So we're talking 12. What is that? 12-4-1, right?
Yeah.
As a final record, if we hypothetically, 100% hypothetically, had a better quarterback that would have gotten us better results,
right?
Better than Zach Wilson, which was bottom of the barrel. And I'm going to read this quote, and then I'm going to let you go ahead and we're going to talk plenty of Giants very quickly. But this is Zach Wilson again, and this is what I think encapsulates it really well. And again, thank you, Gabe, for finding this. Ascending quarterback prospect who possesses the swagger and arm talent to create explosive plays inside and outside the pocket. The gunslinger mentality and improvised release points are clearly patterned off of one of its favorite players, Aaron Rodgers. However, his play is a little more reminiscent of a blend between Jake Plummer and Johnny Manziel coming out of college. As Manziel, too much of Wilson's schedule due to inconsistent anticipation and desire to hit the big play. But like both Manziel at Texas A&M, at Plummer, he's mobile with the ability to extend plays and hit the chunk play. Wilson's sophomore year tape shows troubling decision-making, so NFL teams would need to balance his 2019 and 2020 production in the evaluation process. He put a lot of work to get to this point and has the potential to become a good pro. However, he might need to play with a more disciplined approach to reach his ceiling. And that's that. And that's all she wrote.
All right. Giant stuff. Let's go.
Well, what did you guys think about the Giants this year? That's how I want to start off.
Well, Jose had very, very high hopes.
I predicted their wins.
Yeah, you
did. You predicted the Jets and the Giants wins.
I did actually. Yeah,
I actually thought,
and that was 3 games. Crazy. That was about 3 or 4 games in, though. To be fair, I didn't predict that at the beginning of the season, right? I think that was like week 3 or 4 when I was like,
something like.
I think it was.
It
wasn't the start. It was early on, but it wasn't the start.
It was early on.
Yeah, And like, what did I say? I said the Jets had a 9-win ceiling and we're probably going to win 7. And I said the Giants had an 11-win ceiling, but we're probably going to win 9. So the Giants hit my ceiling and the Jets hit my prediction. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Giants were playing so well early on. The coaching was spot on. The play from Daniel Jones was consistent. Barkley was playing like Saquon Barkley. There's a reason you want to hold on to him right now. I was happy for the Giants.
I don't know if we will.
I don't know if you will. You probably won't for all intents and purposes right now. But I don't want to throw fire on your part of the segment.
That's not my part of the segment. It's our show. I'm just the ambassador.
Our conversation. You're the Giants ambassador. But I was proud of the Giants again as a Jets fan, as a former Giants fan from the Phil Simms days and the Lawrence Taylor days. I was happy for them, happy for the team that beat Tom Brady twice, and they did really, really well. So that's, I guess, what my take was early on.
And Walt, I mean, me and you and I were, at each other's throats basically the entire season when it came to like talking about Jets, Giants, and stuff. But I think we both also like really, really were impressed on the Giants and how well they've done. I know that you didn't really watch many of the Giants games.
I tried as much as possible, but the problem was
the problem is that the Jets in you wants to see losing more than winning.
No, well, the Jets and the Giants, they play similar games at similar times, right?
Right.
East Coast football is always 1 o'clock. It's West Coast football that you get the 4 o'clock games, right?
So that doesn't make any sense. It's never played. That's one of the gripes that I've had with the season is that like the Jets and Giants, they played at 1 o'clock at the same time so often this season that it just didn't make any sense, especially now that you have like even Saturday games. And it just, I don't understand. Like, I guess I do understand it. We're both like, sort of, we were bottom of the barrel. So it's like, hey, let's put these guys like on corner. Nobody's really going to watch them. Nobody expected the Giants or the Jets to have a breakout season at all. But man, the Giants,
I think a lot of the problems that we faced this year in terms of scheduling was because a lot of the teams that we played were East Coast teams, right? We didn't play a lot of West Coast football, so that's why the majority of the games were 1 o'clock games. So,
right.
So that's why I couldn't watch as much as possible, and I did watch some Giant games to be honest, but I couldn't watch as many as I wanted to. Just because I'm always going to default to the Jets.
Same thing, and I didn't watch as much. I would go back and forth between the Giants and Jets when I had a chance. Most of the time, I'm listening to the games instead of watching them. But still, anyway,
it was a nightmare for me.
What I really want to talk about, is like Daniel Jones, and to me, over exceeding expectations. Especially because, like, I have been a defender of Daniel Jones since day one, just because I don't believe that you should judge a person before giving him a shot. Same as Zach Wilson. The difference is that, like, Daniel Jones, when he finally got a legitimate shot, he took it and ran with it. And even in the beginning of the season,
literally,
even in the beginning of the season, he was still having so many detractors. But mainly because there weren't the weapons that he needed. In a new coaching, new staff, new front office, they're still kind of getting to know everyone. They're still trying to kind of get their groove in and stuff. And before you kind of start like doing Hail Marys, you gotta kind of like ease your way in. And the way that Dable eased his way in was really, really relying on the run game. And Saquon, I think killed it, giving Daniel Jones and the team time to figure out how to gel. And I really think that they gelled at the end of the season.
I do agree with that. And I think, one of the things that I marvel about the Giants, and that I've been more than complimentary about Brian Daboll. I mean, I think he was a fantastic coach. I said from the beginning that, he should have been coach of the year. He did get it, and well-deserved and stuff like that. And I think one of the things that he accomplished, that he realized early on, is that this offensive line that you guys have right now, and again, this is not a knock on the team, right? Because the team, quite frankly, it needs an infusion of talent on the roster. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I think one of the biggest things that Daboll did was recognize the fact that O-line was not going to win a lot of battles up front. and he decided to make a shift. And this is something that I've heard a couple of people talk about. But he went to 11 personnel very early on, which in that case it means you have one tight end, one running back, and you're rolling with 3 wide receivers, right? And what that did was it created zones for Saquon, because now, and especially with Jones,
and DJ.
DJ, another, and these are very subtle things that Daboll did, but it just shows you how good of a coach he is. He stopped with Daniel Jones throwing slants. Instead, it was more of a cross game for him. And that is super important, because you know what? That enables DJ to get that ball out really, really quick. You know what I'm saying?
Or run it if he has to.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
I was going to say the same thing.
You have the recognition by Daboll here on what his talent was, and he beautifully put them in the best position to win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so if there's an MVP, I'm not going to give it to DJ, and it's not a slight. Saquon, it's always Brian Daboll to me in this particular year, because what he did with this roster is amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's already got Coach of the Year, but let's play this little game real quick. If you had to give the MVP to a player on a player on the team, who would you give it to? On the Giants.
It's the other Jones, not Mac, not the garbage Jones. DJ was fantastic. I just to very quickly jump off of Walt's point, and then Walt, you can answer. It was really fantastic how Daboll put his faith in DJ's legs this season, right? And in Saquon Barkley's legs, and in DJ's quick decision making on those, like you said, crossing patterns instead of slants, freeing him up to run. I mean, he had the 5th most yards of any quarterback rushing this season, and that includes names like Justin Fields, who was number 1, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Jalen Hurts. So on a list of elite running quarterbacks, all highly elite, proven running quarterbacks. So I think that was fantastic decision making by Daboll, and I want to give him his flowers as well, like you did, Paul. But yeah, DJ for me is the player MVP on the Giants.
Well, yeah, I mean, DJ really had to put the team on his back when he had to, and that's kind of the issue that I've been saying, all these years long, is that DJ doesn't have a choice but to play however he can play, and I think that this season he really showed, not only that he can continue improving always as a quarterback, but that he can lead these men, the G men, to victory, and we had our first playoff win in however many years since we had Eli on the team. So
that was huge.
It was really, really big, especially considering that it's Daboll's first year as a head coach, and winning that first playoff game. I mean, I don't know, I was so ecstatic, watching that game. It was just so awesome, man. Feeling okay, the Giants are back, in a way. There's a lot of work that we have to do, but I do want to talk a little bit about Saquon.
I think we have to, because for me, and again, it's not me hating on DJ. I believe that Saquon is really the MVP, because you know what, his ability to make that defense respect that running game kind of opened up things for DJ. You know what I'm saying?
But see, I gotta cut you off there. Because
let me finish my point, because there was a point, and then I'll throw it back to you. Absolutely. But there was a point where Saquon wasn't playing that well, and the team kind of floundered in that middle toward the end. I mean, they started out, what was it? I think 7-2 and whatnot, and you had that little bump with Saquon, and the team struggled. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely.
So that's why I kind of give it to Saquon a little bit, because he opened up those possibilities for DJ. And listen, to DJ's credit, he took advantage, right? So again, I'm not
discounting the other way.
But that's why I say that,
if DJ were hurt.
No doubt. Those two were essential. I mean, if you take one or the other, we're not talking about the Giants in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you're right.
But,
You know,
but
those
I want
two
to make.
guys
I agree
were
with that.
so super important to that team that if anything happened to one or the other, we're having a very different conversation right now.
Right. But that's the thing. So this is what I wanted to go back to on that point is that, like, yes, Saquon made the defense respect his game, but then so did Jones. Jones's running game made him respect him. You know, they had to make their changes. They had to play zone different. They had to always be aware that Jones can run it. So he made them respect him just as much as Saquon made him respect him.
No,
So
I don't disagree with that.
Right. So I think that on those terms they're equal, but then Jones still had to like find ways to make them win, even when his one and only good weapon wasn't working. And I think that the reason I give so much credit to Jones is because our really, really weak receiver team really got to develop themselves because of Jones. I think that Jones was able to throw some amazing passes, really kind of give these receivers confidence by putting the ball in their hands and showing them that they can catch it, that if they get themselves open, that DJ will put the ball in their hands. And without that, I think that you don't have anything. Like, of course, if DJ can't put the ball in anybody's hands, then they could just keep shutting down Saquon. But that ended up giving Saquon the chance to kind of reemerge and, like, you know, kind of get back into his rhythm, because DJ was able to like put the ball in the hands of receivers that are just honestly not that good of receivers, you know. So based on the fact that he is the threat on the ground, as well as being able to open up the defense so that Saquon can do his thing, that's why I give it to DJ. That being said, we're talking about these two guys, okay? The most important thing that comes out of this season is which one do we keep? Because I
what
don't
a segue!
I don't think that we
Dude.
keep both of them. I don't think that we keep both of them.
Really?
I don't think that we end up keeping both of them. You know.
So let me put gun to your head. Which one are you keeping?
DJ all day.
Okay.
The reason, and we've spoken about this off air. The reason that it's because quarterbacks that, you know, it's not that it's not that you can't find a quarterback, but like you find a good quarterback, you can draft a quarterback.
You cannot find a quarterback.
No. Everyone else in the league can find the quarterback. The Jets can't find it. The Jets quarterback search flies over their head, pun intended.
I listen.
No. I'm joking.
No, I know, but it's very, very difficult to find a quarterback in this league.
It is. It absolutely is.
Let me just give you the top 5 quarterbacks that have been drafted since 2014 to 2021, and you tell me how successful these guys have been in drafting quarterbacks. Blake Bortles, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Mitchell Trubisky, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Trey Lance. These are all guys that were taken in the top 5 since the draft from 2014.
We're talking about 50% of them being like...
Not even.
What do you mean not even? How many were on that list?
There was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 guys 14, out of that list.
Out of 10. All right. I feel you. I understand it.
It's
But
hard.
Anyway,
it's hard to find a quarterback.
The main reason I say is because even if you find and draft a really good quarterback, you still have to develop them. You still have to spend the time to make them a veteran quarterback. And Daniel Jones now is that veteran quarterback, you could say. Like, he's only had really just one really amazing season, which was the last season. But I wouldn't say that's his fault. Yeah, I wouldn't say that's his fault. I do think that he has proven metal now, and it's just a matter of putting weapons around him. What you can find and develop very easily is a running back.
Can I ask you this?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I want to go over the free agent class for this coming season, because I want you to think about what you would want to do based on this free agent class. Let's go with the running backs first. So your free agent class for 2023, and this is, of course, not exhaustive, but of course, here's what you got right here. Josh Jacobs, Jamal Williams, David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, Kareem Hunt, Rashad Penny, Ezekiel Elliott, Samaj Perrin, Mark Ingram, and Rex Burkhead. Okay, those are your free agent running backs. Some of the notable ones for 2023.
I have no scouting reports. I have no scouting reports. I have no idea who any of these guys are.
Okay, exactly.
Let's
Well,
flex
hold
that.
on.
Let's flex that for the end because I think we're gonna get into both Jets and Giants stuff, right?
Okay, but I just want to like at least mention this class here, okay, and then we can go with this for the end. The quarterback classes, of course, includes Daniel Jones, Lamar Jackson, Jimmy G, Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady, Geno Smith, Jacoby Brissett, Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Darnold, Andy Dalton, Derek Carr, Joe Flacco, Mike White, Taylor Henneke, excuse me, Drew Lock, Kyle Allen, Blaine Gabbert, and Jarrett Stidham. Okay,
Okay.
that's the quarterback class for 2023.
So I know the quarterback class and it's there are really only two guys, right? But before we get into that, because that really leads into the Jet stuff, right? Because if you go on ESPN, if you go on the NFL Network, all they do is talk about the Jets right now because it's all about the quarterback, right? But I want to stay on the Giants for just a moment because I want to throw this to you, Gabe. Daniel Jones, $45 million a year?
I don't. I definitely don't think he's going to get $45 million a year. The market just doesn't. It's not going to give him that. He has a quarterback rating that's very, very similar to, the upper middle pack. And then if you look at their like Tannehill, if you look at their quarterbacks with around the same quarterback rating, you look at their contracts, we're looking at 36 to 38. So I think that's what warrants his thing. And I think that we're going to end up settling on maybe 38 non-exclusive. Okay, so this way, if he can get 45, they're going to be like, go ahead and find it if you can get it, and then build into the contract a chance to match for the Giants. I think that's going to be the best bet. But I don't think that because who's going to pay him 45?
There will be somebody out there that's crazy enough to pay him 45. I hate to say it, that's just the reality. I mean, if freaking Deshaun Watson can get the contract that he got, there is somebody that's dumb. Well, not dumb enough. There's somebody that's crazy enough to give DJ $45 million.
Right, but see, here's the thing. That comes with a caveat. I think that Deshaun Watson is like, I'll go to whoever can pay me, because he also was dealing with a scandal, and it's like, how many people are willing to pay me and deal with my scandal? Whereas with DJ, it's a matter of like, all right, I want to get paid, but I also don't want to just go anywhere. I don't think that there were many teams that would, fork up the salary and deal with Watson's scandal. So I think that the pool was very, very small. But on the other end of that, the pool is much bigger for DJ, but I don't think that anybody's going to be willing to compare him to Deshaun Watson either, though. So I think that like the best offer that he'll get, let's say he gets like 40 million from somewhere, under the rainbow. I don't know, but I still think that like if somebody offers him 40 million and the Giants offer him 38, I still think that he takes 38.
I think you will. I agree with. I mean, he's. There's no way that he's going to get $45 million when Aaron Rodgers is making 50, Russell Wilson is making 49, Kyler Murray is making 46. Like, he'll be the fourth highest paid quarterback, or fifth. Sorry, he'll be tied for the fifth highest paid quarterback with Patrick Mahomes in terms of annual salary if he gets $45 million.
They can't franchise tag him though. With the exclusive one, because if you franchise tag him with the exclusive, that's a disaster for the Giants this year. It really, really is. It has to go non-exclusive if you
that absolutely does. Now, here's the other thing too, though. Like, I want to talk about Saquon and why I think that we don't keep him as much as I really feel like we should, just from like a fan perspective. But the reason I don't think that we keep him is because he does have a lot of value to be able to kind of like send them away, and we can just build off of the draft, in free agency and stuff. That's going to be a lot cheaper considering how bad our cap is. The priority is to get DJ. there is part of me that feels that the reason they haven't signed DJ is because they are trying to negotiate with both of them at the same time. Like, how can we keep these two on the team? Otherwise, if they really were already intending on like not signing Saquon, then I think they would have already made the deal with DJ. And that's just how I feel, But those are really the only two things that matter when it comes to the Giants and off season. I mean, obviously, like, when it comes to draft and free agency, we got to satisfy the things that are most important. I think that it's time that we do get a chance to talk about, like, off season needs for both teams. Yeah.
We still haven't even gotten to the quarterback situation for the Jets.
We're going to talk about the quarterback situation is the offseason situation.
Crazy, right?
The quarterback situation for the Jets is the offseason. But the for the Giants, we need to still tighten up the O-line. I think that if we can get like one more good solid receiver, that would be really good. I think that the receivers that we have showed some really good promise, and I would rather focus on O-line protection and more another running back, obviously, if we're not going to have Saquon. And then and that's it, really. That's it. It's get DJ, probably get rid of Saquon, focus on building the O-line, get yourself one or two wide receivers, and build on the and obviously like replace Saquon, which I don't know how exactly they're going to do that, but maybe it's going to be the Giants' first pick. Will be either. I think it's going to be. If we don't keep Saquon, it's probably going to be a running back. Otherwise it's going to be a receiver.
I think you guys also have to focus on the defense. I think primarily linebacker also, because your
actually
defense,
I'm pretty happy with our defense.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with our defense.
25th in the league. You're happy with that? I think you got to build that defense because you give DJ weapons, but if he's losing 31-27 every game, what are you working towards?
I don't. Especially when you're looking at a team that can run the ball.
Yeah. But I also don't. I think that like those numbers aren't really telling the entire tale of the season. I don't think that we had many blowout games. I don't think that we had like games where people were like racking up points on us, except for these stupid birds down in Philly. But outside of that, like I think that our games were a little bit pretty well contested. I think I'm not saying that we don't need to build on the defense. I just think that priority wise, I think that the O-line is more important, especially considering that like if we're going to put all our chips on DJ, we need to protect him. Thankfully he didn't like get hurt the season and stuff. He didn't really miss time. He sat out a few snaps and stuff. But he started every game. And so if we can protect him more, not only does it give him more chance to shine, by being able to hit new targets, but it's just going to protect our, the investment that they're going to put in. They're not going to pay DJ X amount of dollars and not invest in protecting him either.
Right.
So,
well, that being said, let's get into the Jets, and really the offseason needs are kind of obvious. It's quarterback. I mean, there are some things that the Jets do need. They do need some offensive line depth. Linebacker may be a thing to shore up, but ultimately, it begins and ends with the quarterback. And there's a number of quarterbacks that are kind of attached to the Jets. Whether it's true or not, we'll find out shortly enough. But the two biggest targets are Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr, which are the two biggest prizes in this offseason, right? I personally kind of trend toward Derek Carr, just because there is so many positives there in my mind. I mean, you look at his accuracy, you look at his durability, you look at the fact that he kept that team together 2 years ago during the whole John Gruden stuff, the Harry Ruggs stuff and stuff like that, and got them to the playoffs despite all that turmoil. The guy sounds like he is a great locker room guy. He looks like he'll slide into that locker room super well, with that team. And there's so many positives with that. Aaron Rodgers to me feels a little bit like Kyrie Irving. Great, immense talent, but there's a lot of baggage that comes with that. And to be quite honest, why would he want to come to New York? I know politics shouldn't come into this, but his politics, he's going to be not only back pages of the newspaper, he's going to be front page also the minute that he comes in here and starts talking, and I think that's just a distraction to the team.
There's one thing that I want to say when it comes to comparing him to Kyrie, and I agree that he's a Kyrie-esque character. You know what I mean?
He plays though.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. That push comes to shove,
yeah.
Aaron shows up no matter how distracting he can be, he's gonna show up and he's gonna play hard. He's gonna play hard from from opening bell to all the way to the end. Kyrie, he's he just doesn't feel like playing, so he just doesn't show up. And that goes to show that he wasn't ever really a team player. So the fact that Aaron always shows up is that he will fight for the good of the team. But pays him. That being said, I still don't necessarily think that he's the best. I don't think that he's the best option for the team long-term wise. I think that if you take Aaron Rodgers for the short term, you might even win a chip. But I think that long-term, it's going to end up costing you so much.
I don't agree at all with picking up Aaron Rodgers. He's 40 years old. He's coming off his worst season, I think, of his in the last 10, 15 years, or the last 10 years of his career. He hasn't had a season this bad. Yes, the Packers were not a great team. They didn't have weapons. The Jets' weapons are not a ton better. We have one really, really good wide receiver and a few that are.
I disagree with that. Okay,
so
but that's fine.
But this looks like to me a Brett Favre situation all over again. And
it's exactly almost the same. You're
it's the Packers retiring quarterback.
But here's the thing that I have. Here's the thing.
Not that he's going to be on the Jets anyway. It's not going to happen. He's not.
No, I know, but here's the problem that I have with Aaron Rodgers. And listen, if it's just football, then Aaron Rodgers coming here makes sense, especially if the team is still all in on Zach, right? Because if you bring in Aaron Rodgers, you're going to get him for 1 or 2 years, right? And supposedly then Zach has the ability to learn under Aaron Rodgers, right? But here's the rub, okay? And this is where I kind of look at Aaron Rodgers, and this is why I say it's kind of like a Kyrie situation, but I know it's not really all the way, right? Aaron Rodgers complained this season out loud in public to the media about his wide receivers and how they were not up to snuff at this point, okay? Now, fine. You want to say that, tough love, right? But Aaron Rodgers, if you really wanted to be on the same page with your wide receivers, then why the hell didn't you show up to preseason to knowing that you have a young group and knowing that you want to gel with them? So it kind of feels very, what's the word I'm looking for? Disingenuous when you're in the middle of the season talking about how you don't have any chemistry with your young receivers when you chose not to go into preseason, into camp, and work with those guys to get the chemistry that you needed to be successful during the season. That's the first thing, right? The second thing that I have a problem with Aaron Rodgers is he was on the Pat McAfee show not too long ago talking about Zach Wilson and the relationship that he has with Zach, right? And this is the problem that I have listening to what he told Zach, because he called Zach or text Zach. I can't remember exactly what it was, right? And Zach, at that late stage of the day, was still working in the Jets facility. And Aaron Rodgers literally told him, said, dude, what the hell are you doing there? Go out, have some fun, be a kid.
Do you have a relationship with Zach Wilson? Was it Rappaport who said you texted him when he was in the facility during the offseason on a Friday morning? You said, what are you doing? Get the hell out of there, man. Spend some time away from the facility. Are you guys tight?
Well, it wasn't a Friday morning. It was a Friday night, and he was there late. And I said, what are you doing? I said, get out of the facility. I said, get out of there, clear your head, be a kid, go to dinner, relax a little bit.
That, to me, work ethic, you're going to come into this group, right? Who we all know that the Jets, these rookies, they work hard. They're working their asses off to trying to be the best player that they can. And here comes Aaron Rodgers talking about, oh, dude, guys, why are you still here? Do you really want that in your locker room, especially with a young, impressionable group? I mean, that seems a little weird.
No, I mean it does, but Aaron Rodgers is going to do what Aaron Rodgers does. But I don't know. I have no idea where
Yeah, I was having a little problems with my camera, guys. Sorry about that.
I was gonna say is like I have no. I was gonna say I have no idea where we're going with.
You know what happened? the camera couldn't handle my rant. That's all it was. So
did you smack the camera by accident?
But you know what? It annoys me because you know what? Everybody's sitting at the throne of Aaron Rodgers and stuff like that. Everybody's waiting around for him, and I guarantee you this. He's probably going to announce what he wants to do on the Pat McAfee show on Tuesday, the same day that the NFL Combine, and that is so on brand with Aaron Rodgers. It really is.
No, you said so. I mean, I think so. He's going to make it all like
It's all about him.
He likes to ruffle the feathers. He likes to be very, and it's funny because he really wasn't like this until he had I forgot what it was, the scandals that he had. I actually forgot what issues he had. And then when he got dropped by State Farm and all this other stuff, it was just like, oh, well, guess what? I guess the real Aaron Rodgers gets to come out now, The real Aaron Rodgers. He's been in darkness for the last 16 years.
Yeah, no, it was him saying he was
him
saying he was immunized rather than vaccinated.
Oh yeah, it was the whole COVID stuff. Anyway,
getting special treatment on all of that in the league. But anyways,
we do need to hit very quickly what the off-season pickups need to be.
All right, here we go. We're going into our 2-minute warning, right?
I was gonna say, I think it's time for the 2-minute warning.
That's the one thing I'm gonna miss about Brady.
Oh God!
As a Jet fan, I'm glad he's gone, but Brady is the author of so many memes.
He is. I mean, when you've been in the league, when you don't want to leave the league, you're gonna be part of a lot of memes.
Dude is kind of awkward all the time, though, right?
He is.
He can be very, very awkward all the time. So I don't know.
Well, it's going to be me rooting for the Mannings over Brady again once he retires. Anyway, so
there you go.
So 2-minute warning. Each host gets 2 minutes to give us their thoughts, and the topic of the show, or for the 2-minute warning, is off-season, necessities. Who wants to go first?
It'll be relatively quick for me, I think, because I don't think the Jets genuinely need a ton on either side of the ball necessarily. To clarify, there is a larger separation of talent between the Packers wide receivers and the Jets wide receivers than I stated earlier, but I don't really think they need to make a pickup there, right? I don't think they need to get any more wide receivers. I think the tight end situation is pretty good. They have 2 solid tight ends that can block and catch, and they've kind of played well in different halves of the season, right? We had one tight end play well for the first half and one tight end play well for the second half. Our offensive line was really solid. Injuries just kind of messed things up there, right? Our running game is solid. We had a Rookie of the Year candidate, and we had a lot of great runners behind him that just weren't able to carry the load primarily, but could be great secondary runners on the team. Defense, I mean, definitely don't need anything in the secondary. On the defensive line, again, I don't think there's any huge needs. Maybe with the linebacker core, although again, we have some really, really solid linebackers, some possible Pro Bowl, Hall of Fame caliber linebackers in the future. right now that are young on this team that's really, really great. And obviously, we talked about it. The only pressing need the Jets have is quarterback.
Yeah.
And we said that they could be an 11-win team off of just what they did, or an 11-win team off of just what happened this season. Our level was it 11-5-1 was the final record that we came up with.
That's your 2 minutes.
Quarterback.
Next up, Walt, my man. 2
All right.
minutes are on the clock and go.
Like I said, it begins and ends with the quarterback. Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Is it going to be Derek Carr? I think for the Jets to win the offseason, they have to come away with one of those two guys. If we're talking about going into the next season with either Baker Mayfield, Jimmy Garoppolo, who I believe as talented as he may be, I think he's a product of the system that Kyle Shanahan runs over in San Francisco. If we're talking about Ryan Tannehill, then we're walking into, a buttload of issues. And you know what? Both Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are on notice because you were the ones that said we are going to get a veteran quarterback. To me, there's nobody else except Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr. And obviously, I want Derek Carr here because I think he fits way better than Aaron Rodgers does. Aside from that, maybe linebackers, maybe some depth on that offensive line. But really, and I don't want to make it sound like we're one player away. We're not, but we are one player away from being a very good playoff team. We are a couple of players away from being a possible Super Bowl contender.
Anything on the Giants?
The Giants, listen, I think they do need to fix that defense. I think they do need to upgrade their level of talent overall. Wide receivers are a must. And I think DJ has to be your number one target. I would like to have Saquon back here because I think he's a very interesting dynamic with that team. And listen, Saquon is a singular talent. You can't replace him that easily. You can replace some of that, but not all of it. So I think that's where it's with the Giants.
I like this horn.
Quick
one
thing,
is that one?
I didn't say anything about the Giants. Quick thing I want to say is that they were 31st in interceptions. Defense has to improve.
Yeah.
Defense has to improve. Other than what we said before.
There's no. I'm not saying that they don't need to improve. So going into my 2-minute mark, 2-minute warning.
You're on the clock.
I do think that the Giants need to improve in every single section. As far as priorities go, though, I think it's get DJ, improve the O-line, pick up a wide receiver, get a veteran in the defense, especially in the secondary, that can kind of become the leader and mold some of these younger players. I think in the biggest thing that we saw in from my perspective, and when facing the Eagles, and especially facing it playing in the postseason, is these young guys just like not really living up to the task, and I think that was just lack of experience for the most part. Would love to have Saquon back. Don't know if we need him. If we can find running backs, and I think that it's been proven across the league that you can just find running backs that can fit your schemes if you have really good coaching, and we have really good coaching. I think that we have a really good leader in DJ. For the Jets, a new head coach.
Wow,
you guys need a new head coach. Wow. I don't think that Saleh really cuts the mustard.
Why?
Personally.
After that year defensively?
Why?
Well, I don't think that he's the reason that you guys were defensively good. That's why, and
it's his scheme, though.
Huh?
It's his scheme. He's the one that brought it from San Francisco. Albright is just running it.
So my issues with Saleh is I think that the defense allowed him to allow the team to kind of plug some holes that would have been a little bit more apparent in Saleh himself. But I think that his play calling under pressure is not good. And I think that he second guesses himself and his offense a lot, personally. So That's
I
it.
think you have to navigate a difficult situation with a lot of injuries and limited weapons.
Exactly. And you know what?
2-minute warning. 2-minute warning. Game's over.
I know.
Well, you have a little overtime actually because we talked in on yours. So if you want to go
Yeah.
for another 15 seconds,
So then you want to
I'll
go
allow
for
that.
another 15 seconds by talking more over it?
No, I'm
not the
letting
one
you
that's
know
talking.
that you have a little more time to continue.
No. So no, those are my points. I just think that like, and I'm just kind of giving a hot take there, be contrarian, I guess. But I think that like I just,
Okay,
Robert Saleh
Tiki
just
Barber.
never. Excuse me. Okay, Robert Saleh I just don't feel like he is that guy.
So
I think
let me ask
he
you-
takes credit
Let me
for
ask you
for
this.
No need.
Let me ask you this.
Mm.
How do you think he handled navigating both the Denzel Mim trade request, the Elijah Moore trade request, the Zach Wilson situation? Good
That's
or bad?
the thing. So I think terribly
But
because here's the thing, that should have never came up in the beginning. The reason that they feel comfortable even saying these things publicly is because he didn't have control of the locker room in the first place. It's the players controlling the locker room as opposed to the head coach. If he had a good head coach,
I didn't feel that
leads
at
it.
all during the season.
No, I understand.
Okay.
I'm just I
That
say
was
this.
the topic, guys. What
Yeah.
about players? Players? Any players that they need? Any position?
No,
Saleh could
that's
be a
it.
whole other
That's my
conversation.
thing. I mean, you guys
Yeah,
spoke
I
on the
think
Jets.
that's
That's what I feel about it. So.
Oh, so many things that I want to say, but I'm not going to say that in this conversation.
Well, you know
Well,
what?
we're very well over time. So.
Yeah, I know. We actually have planned this as a 45-minute episode, and I think we've doubled that, right?
Well, yeah,
But you know
we're
what?
about to hit the hour and a half,
we're
so.
so passionate about our teams that we can't stop talking.
But when we do stop talking, this is what we got for you. That's when you're supposed to hit the outro.
Wait, hold on.
No, not yet. First of all, we have to say goodbye. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I will.
Can't be dropping an outro and then
Goodbye.
That would have been
Oh,
so
by the way,
perfect. Though.
goodbye.
That would have been so perfect, though.
Well, listen, I think we're gonna come back. We're probably gonna have an emergency episode if and when the Jets do decide to get a quarterback, and if and when DJ and Saquon actually sign with the Giants.
Agreed. That's a big
but
news.
but basically, what we're looking at is we're probably gonna have another episode aside from that. Once we hit the draft, and then once free agency kind of starts shaping up. And then the plan is we are going to be all in starting the preseason into the lead up going into the season, and then we are just going to go ham with
We'll see you there every week
with them. So definitely please make sure to subscribe and hit that little notification bell, because when we come back, y'all need to be notified. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And definitely tell everybody if you like what we did. Listen, I want to thank you for joining us. And as always, go Giants and go Jets.